Let's call the meeting to order. Everybody stand up. Go over to
Father God in heaven, we are so thankful for the freedom that we have. And Father, we ask now that you be with this meeting, that your blessing would be upon it, be with our council members. Father, we just give you all the praise and we just give you all the glory. And we thank you for your Son, Jesus. And it is in his name we pray. Amen.
Bob.
Yes, we can join in the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so now, again, like we went over last time, now is going to be the portion for audience participation on any topic that you would like to speak of. Anybody have anything to say that you would like us to be aware of?
Mention these authorities.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and open the meeting of the Clinton Hospital Authority, Recreational Authority, Solid Waste, and Airport Authorities. Okay, so now back to audience participation. Anybody have any questions, comments? Comments, probably, right? Okay, seeing none, now we'll go on to the fourth item, the trustees report, and that's the councilman's chance to speak of something that is on our mind. Anybody have anything? Yeah, moving right along, manager's report. Steve.
I don't really have anything on projects. I mentioned this a while back. Our projects at the airport are completed. We're wrapping up some FAA paperwork. Me and Lisa were out with Tracy Yoder and Bob Engineering today. As for Recreational Authority, we will be bringing you some possible recommendations for the upcoming golf memberships and discussion here in the next couple of weeks because of those memberships start in March. So we'll be bringing some thoughts, recommendations, and get your feedback regarding that. That's really all I have with these authorities right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Consent agenda, then we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Trustee Hewland?
Yes.
Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
Trustee Rudolph?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. Number 7, action items. Now, presentation and consideration of claims for the 2011 and 12 audit. Steve?
I'd like to introduce James Kirkendall, and basically, James, you want to go through everything? You want to go through each authority?
Just summarize the general and then public works.
Okay, you want to wait to Public Works Authority and go through?
We usually just go through them all at the same time.
Okay, we'll wait till the council. We'll go through everything. We'll throw on each agenda. We'll wait till the council. We can go through all of them at that point.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so now I'll consider a motion to close this portion of the meeting tonight.
Second.
Trustee Marcy?
Yes.
Trustee Hewland?
Yes.
Trustee Rudolph?
Yes.
And Chairman?
Yes. Public Works Authority agenda. Action item, request authorization to rebid rehabilitation of the clarifier tanks at the wastewater treatment plant. Steve.
Well, Council, we, as you know, there was a bid out that you authorized us to award to rehab our 2 clarifiers that DEQ is mandating us to do. Once we began that project, we found severe damage and deterioration, which cannot be sandblasted and cleaned and repainted. So what we are requesting to do is actually drop that bid and drop that contract, and the contractor's aware of it because it cannot be done. He cannot meet the specs due to the deterioration of the clarifiers, and go to bid on rehabbing 1 clarifier this year with the budgeted amounts we have to bring it back up to standards, and then we will budget then next year for the next clarifier. This is an extensive rehab that has to be done. Once we begin sandblasting, deterioration, basically was just falling apart. They have to be rebuilt. And this will be very costly. As you can see, estimated about $195,000 for 1 rehab. So we basically, we must do this. DEQ is requiring it. We're asking to go to bid on this, but 1 clarifier. We'll then get the specs out, and hopefully we'll have those back we will open them in the March meeting. That's our goal at this point in time, so that's currently where we're standing, and we just would ask your authorization to go to bid.
Entertain a motion for authorization.
Second.
Trustee Randolph.
Yeah.
Trustee Marcy.
Yes.
Trustee Hulen.
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yes. We'll now consider a motion to adjourn this portion of the.
Okay. Consent agenda.
Oh, okay. We'll now consider a motion to approve the minutes, the consent agenda of the last meeting.
So moved. Second.
Trustee Marcy.
Yes.
Trustee Hulen.
Yes.
Trustee Randolph.
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yes. Now consider a motion to adjourn this portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Hulen.
Yes.
Trustee Marcy.
Yes.
Trustee Randolph.
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yes. On to the industrial authority. Consider a motion right now to approve the consent agenda of the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Marcy.
Yes.
Trustee Hulen.
Yes.
Trustee Randolph.
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yes. Action items. Consider the lease agreement with CQC Chemical Company. Steve, what do you have on that?
Councils, you approved a contract at our location down here by Glen Smith Road with Zane Stinnett. That once was rented by Brainerd Chemical that was going to get out of their contract this spring. He has asked that in the contract, he would like an out in the 5-year contract of 120 days. I don't have an issue with that. I understand, obviously, if he's successful. If he's not successful, he'll probably just walk away anyway at this point. But we have no issues with that, but there is a change to that contract. We need your approval, and we'll get it to him and get it signed, and we'll get him started next month.
I think that's good.
Consider a motion for approval.
I move that we approve that lease agreement.
Second.
Trustee Randolph.
Yes.
Trustee Hulen.
Yes.
Trustee Marcy.
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yes. Now consider a motion to adjourn this portion.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, consider proposal from Jose Martinez regarding purchase of property. Steve.
Council, the N Oil Co. building sits behind Frisco Center. We once had a contract on this for sale. They backed out. Jose Martinez, which is here, he'd like to purchase this facility for a price of $48,000. And staff believes this is a viable business with his roofing company, and we recommend the sale to Jose. Jose, would you like to say anything? Or?
Not right now.
I think that's, I really think it's a good proposal. You dealt with the other company for a long period of time, and if we keep it, we're gonna have to spend some money.
We're going to spend some money.
I would make a motion to sell this property to Mr. Martinez for $48,000.
Yes, sir.
I'll second it.
Trustee Randolph.
Yes, sir.
Trustee Hulen.
Yes.
Trustee Marcy.
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yes. Now consider a motion to adjourn this portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Hulen.
Yes.
Trustee Marcy.
Yes.
Trustee Randolph.
Yes.
And Chairman.
Yes. So now we're going to the city council agenda. Yeah, now we're on to the city council agenda. First off, consider a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Marcy.
Yes.
Councilman Hulen.
Yes.
Councilman Randolph.
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. First off, action items, B. A, we need to go to A.
Let's go to A.
Presentation and consideration of 2011-2012 audit. I got you now. Okay. All right.
I introduced Hank Kirkendall to present our audit.
He probably get tired of waiting.
Yeah. Somebody needs to stop me.
Appreciate the board allowing us to do the audit again this year. Appreciate the time to present the results with you. First off, I want to thank all those that we worked with while we were here. They all did a good job, got us what we needed, didn't have any problems whatsoever as far as getting information, getting questions answered. If you have a copy of your audit, I'll just jump to page 14, and that's a statement of the net assets of the city of Clinton for the year. There's two columns, one for governmental activities and one for business type activities. Of course, the governmental activities, that's our general operating account, capital improvement fund, the 4-cent sales tax fund, the TIF fund, the cemetery fund, and the grant fund. And then the business type is the industrial authorities, each one of those. The Public Works Authority, the Industrial Authority, Solid Waste, Recreation, the hospital, I believe it's all. And so those are all summarized on page 14. The detail of each one of those funds, the governmentals are on page 17, and the business type are on page 22. That breaks them out into their individual authorities. As you can see, there are total assets for the governmental activities is $25,693,053, and then our net assets $23,414,128. That's $1,848,000 increase in our net assets of the governmental activities. And to break that $1,848,000 down, pages 15 and 16 gives us our revenue and expenditures. And you can see there the first column is the expenses by category, for example, governing board and administration, finance, public safety, and so forth. And then the charges for those services. And in general, we don't have that many charges for those services because the governmental activities do not have that many fees and charges. The revenues for the governmental activities come in the way of taxes, generally the sales use tax, motel tax, and then there's oil and gas royalties and so forth, and those additional revenues are listed on page 16. So you can see from those that our total general fund revenues and transfers was $6,954,212, and then our expenditures there totaling $6,667,000, and then that gives us our net change in our assets of the governmental activities, $1,848,000. Of course, we had increases in sales. Well, each one of the tax categories, the sales tax, use tax, motel tax, cigarette tax, those all had increases in revenue. Of course, the sales tax, we had a bump in our sales tax on the capital improvement, and that was part of the increase in our sales tax. But overall, our revenues across the board were pretty much up for the current period. And our expenditures, they were up in the categories that you were emphasizing, and then we summarized those into what's called the cultural, transportation, recreation, public safety. And those are where generally our expenses went up for the current period. So our governmental activities increased roughly $1,848,000, like I said, 409. The business type activities, you can see there the total assets of $54,092,000, and then the actual net assets $31,072,000. That's an increase for the current period of $5,254,000. Now, a portion of that, or a big portion of that increase is due to the lease termination at the hospital. Whenever we terminated the one lease, we were entitled to the assets that had been added, and those were in turn booked as capital assets and increased our capital asset base there at the hospital authority. So that accounted for a significant increase in our net overall increase in assets. Set all those assets that they had purchased that was left with the hospital when the lease terminated, set those up for depreciation and add them to the assets for the city through the hospital authority. You can see in the Public Works Authority, solid waste, each one of them are separately broken out. But overall, each one of those authorities operated well for the year. There was some increases in expenses on some of them, some decreases in others. We didn't get quite as many grants this year as what we have had in the past. In the general fund, our grants decreased roughly $400,000, and the grants that we'd received in the authorities decreased roughly a little over $150,000. So even with those decreases in the grants, we were able to increase our net assets for each of the entities. Might also point out on pages 37, 38, and 39 is a detailed description of the debt of the city of Clinton. It goes through the governmental activities as well as the business type activities. Both those, the debt that we have in the way of bonds and also the debt that we have through capital leases. Capital leases being, for example, the roof and windows that we put in at City Hall, and then the golf course leasing of golf cart, lease purchase of golf cart. But overall, you see there, even with those, in those debts, we have decreased our total debt for the year over $500,000 compared to last year. So, you know, you continue to update your infrastructure, the equipment, and so forth. We've reduced our overall debt, like I said, over $500,000 for the year. And then on page 33, there is our debt covenant. We're required to maintain a certain debt service covenant. In this case, we're required to have our revenues exceed our expenditures by 1.25%, and they in fact exceeded about 1.5%, so we've met those requirements on our debt service. And overall, everything looks good. The records are in excellent shape. When we did have any suggestions, no matter how minor they might have been, everyone was receptive to them. Everyone did what they could to make sure that we understood whenever we asked them questions. And so we feel like, you know, besides being in excellent financial shape, you also have an excellent staff. Our opinion basically just states that we feel like that this is an accurate description of the financial condition of the city of Clinton and its authorities, and that you have in fact met the guidelines for all the state statutes as far as being in compliance with the federal and state regulation related to the city and their authorities therefore. And so we presented to you that way at this time.
Thank you very much. Very detailed and informative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments from council?
I think everything looks very good. I think it's, we are in excellent shape, reduced it. Probably will have to, I don't know whether we had the refinancing in there or not, we'll have our debt down further. Just kind of use.
That's correct. And we, you know, I'd like to point out on page 4, and again, you know, to reiterate what James said, obviously we've increased our liabilities, increased our assets, reduced our liabilities by more than $500,000. And, you know, our unreserved fund balance at the end of the general fund was $4.5 million. That's 51% of the budget. That is the highest that we've seen. We went back and looked, as high as Clinton's ever been. We're very excited about that, and we expect to hopefully succeed, you know, exceed that again this year. So we're being fiscally responsible. We're trying to be, but in the same, put our money to work for us in services, and we're very pleased and we appreciate the audit, and we'll continue that.
And I'd like staff to
Excellent.
Yes, thank
Definitely
you.
appreciate it. Good job.
Like a lot of work.
And
The rest of it.
Russ Beecham CPA firm comes in and
compiles all this information for us so that James can come in and have these numbers to look at. She takes all of our fund records and looks at all of that and compiles all that in this format. So, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
And Britt Kirkendall and Miller have been on the board for years.
Well, I move we approve the audit for all of the various entities as well as the city council.
So,
Second.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilman Huglen?
Yes.
And Mayor.
yes. And now the action item B, proclamation regarding the Clinton Ministerial Alliance.
Yeah, council, I just, the Ministerial Alliance comes in here every week and does our prayer, they do a lot for the community, and meeting with them, I think it was very important that we acknowledge what they do for our community. So the proclamation, as you can see in our, I'll click on that for you.
Okay, thanks.
Is there, I think it's important that we, I thought the council would also appreciate what they do for us. So we thought that was something to bring to you tonight.
Let me go ahead and read this. Whereas it is fitting and proper to take official notice of organizations in our city in order that all may have the opportunity to share in their significance and recognition. And whereas such an organization, the Clinton Ministerial Alliance, is to be commended and recognized for their ministry in the city of Clinton, Oklahoma. Whereas the Clinton Ministerial Alliance serves the city of Clinton in many capacities. Now, therefore, I, Seth Adams, Mayor of Clinton, do hereby proclaim appreciation to the Clinton Ministerial Alliance for their service. We very much appreciate your service.
Yes. Thank you all.
We appreciate you coming to our meeting.
Could I speak to this?
Yes.
Yes.
I appreciate the proclamation. Whenever we visited you, Steve, we'd like to provide for our young people here in the community as much as we possibly can, a good spiritual foundation. And one of the things we visited with the city manager about was the idea of trying to preserve as much as we could on Sunday and Wednesday nights for our children and for our youth. I know there's been some activity at Acme Brick where there's been requests to go ahead and have some independent type volleyball and recreation going on church nights. And where you can't control what everybody does, being a faith-based community, I'd like to see the council go on record as supporting the Ministerial Alliance in this, because I believe that if we will, even beyond the proclamation, what's here, I think that if people that are planning independent volleyball, basketball, and they try to go to Sunday and Wednesday nights when we have our youth and children's services, I think they may go ahead and realize that we're all on the same page together. This could be something that would help the whole community. It wouldn't just be one individual or just the Ministerial Alliance trying to do it themselves. But that way, if they knew the council was behind what we're trying to do in this regard, it might encourage them to go ahead and find another alternative night, which Thursday, Tuesday, Monday, or wherever. And so I'd like to see the resolution go just a little bit deeper, with a little bit more teeth in it, and going ahead and supporting what we're trying to do there. I know our associate is here with me tonight, which is my son, but he has a Sunday night and a Wednesday night youth service. And so a lot of our churches do the same thing, but where these kids are in activities on Sunday and Wednesday night, if they don't show up, they don't get to play. And so it really puts them in a bind, puts their parents in a bind. And because of that, a lot of times what happens, it takes them out of their church activities, unfortunately. And as a result of that, I feel like over a long period of time, we're kind of weakening the foundation, spiritual foundation of our young people. So I appreciate the proclamation, and that's one of the reasons I'm here to support that. But I'd like to see us put a little bit more teeth in it, and you all support what we're trying to do in regard to those two special evenings. I remember when I first came here, and Joel can remember it too, Sunday and Wednesday nights were pretty well sacred nights. And they were pretty well given to the churches. And because of that, I think we've got a pretty good foundation in this community. And I'd sure like to see it being a faith-based community continue to grow and be stronger even in those areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you're asking for the council support that the community events occur on other nights than Sunday and Wednesday. Is that too far off? Do we have to have that on the agenda, or are we violating anything? Ryan? Have we-
Well, it's on the agenda, it's a proclamation this tonight.
okay.
Right, just proclamations on the night.
If you like resolution, I mean, yeah, we support that. We have the meetings, absolutely. I mean, and that's why we did the proclamation, to support what they do and what they offer. We know we're a faith-based community, and so if you like a resolution with a little more detail, we can do that. And they know, and we've had a great conversation, very candid, that we can't control some of the youth associations, what they do on their sports nights, and soccer and football and, baseball and stuff. We have tournaments all weekend. But I think supporting the Ministerial Alliance is definitely good, and we can bring back something a little bit more detailed if you like.
Can I move to amend this proclamation?
Can I amend the proclamation?
All right. Well, we appreciate your comments, but
Yes, I think, so do we need a,
I don't even need anything.
we don't need anything, right?
This is your proclamation tonight, so if really there's no action required on B, you can sign the proclamation then tonight, you don't even need anybody else to approve it. But if there is going to be something that we're going to discuss and there's going to be a resolution, then certainly we need to have it posted on the agenda.
A resolution with more to, if anybody asks me, I'll say that they should have their event on a night other than Wednesday or Sunday. But that helps you out at all. So, action item C, request authorization to go to bid for the police units. Steve?
Council, we had in our budget for one police unit, due to the fact that Chapman Road has been pushed back until probably in midsummer. We're gonna have some additional dollars in capital, rather than wait and push this back any farther with our aging units, as well as one is totaled due to a wreck that we had a few months ago. We'd like to go to bid on 2 new units and get those in this year and get those out. So we appreciate your authorization.
Yes, I support very much so. Entertain a motion?
I move that we go to bid on 2 police units.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy? Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Consider resolution for the 809 regarding municipalities to restore local rights. I think we have some handouts on that.
Yeah, Council, there's some handouts, and I'd like to introduce Clint Miller. And Clint's got a long title here, Clint. So he is the Coalition Coordinator for the Western Oklahoma Tobacco Control Coalition. Is that correct? I get that right? Yes. Yeah, come on up.
I think Mr. Hewitt had emailed Jill some information about this in advance. Was there any questions about it?
I noticed we get a handout from the Oklahoma Municipal League.
The Oklahoma Municipal League is very much in support of this
I noticed
resolution.
that they're working with the legislature this year in order to get this done.
Yes. Basically, right now, local municipalities and cities, their hands are tied on what they can do as far as tobacco ordinances. It can't be anything stricter than the state's ordinance. This resolution is just saying that the city of Clinton would support legislation that allows y'all to have control over your own tobacco ordinances and kind of takes control back to y'all from the state.
Okay, so give some rights back to us as council members at the city of Clinton. Give some rights to us as council members in the city of Clinton.
Correct. And it gives y'all the authority to make stricter laws if y'all would like on in the state's policy. It doesn't say you have to, it just gives you the power to do that. And this resolution is just saying that y'all support it because it's been held up in the House and Senate over the previous years. There's tobacco lobbyists at the state capitol that are trying to keep power at the state level and not on the local level. So this is just a way for y'all to tell your state elected officials and state people around the state that the city of Clinton would like the ability to make tobacco ordinances that are best suited for the city of Clinton.
If we so choose. I think it's a good idea.
I'd move that we adopt resolution 809.
I second.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes.
Clint, before Clint leaves, Clint, can you talk a little bit about how you're funded? Some of the things we recently, Clint's been involved with, the grants and the healthy communities. Can you talk a little bit about that since you got the council here?
Yes, my program is funded, the city of Oak City is actually the lead agency or the grant winner. My program is funded around $168,650 a year, and I service Beckham, Custer, Roger Mills, and Washita counties. We're funded through TSET, which is the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust. Basically, when the states lost the lawsuits to the tobacco industry, or won the lawsuits to the tobacco industry back in like 2000, Oklahoma is the only state that still has tobacco money left. They put their money in a trust fund, and the interest funds programs like mine all over the state. Ours, we worked with the cities to do youth access to tobacco ordinances, clean indoor air ordinances. We sponsor SWAT teams in the school, which is students working against tobacco. Clinton, I think the 6th grade here has a very active SWAT team. Previously, it had been at the high school, and they moved it down to the 6th grade level, kind of head off some of the tobacco use early on. I'm sure you've seen the tobacco stops with me and 1-800-QUIT NOW ads on TV. Our programmer typically who purchases that through the Clinton Daily News or the radio stations. 24/7 schools, that's been a big push. And Custer County is 100% tobacco-free public schools. It just extends the tobacco-free policy onto like basketball and other sporting events in the evenings. We work with Mr. Hewitt on a couple of different things. We're looking at maybe after you get the power to maybe import or adopt stricter tobacco policies, working with y'all and to help get policies that are better suited towards y'all where your hands aren't as tied with the state ordinances.
Do you have an example of one of those? How we get more strict?
You can increase the fines right now. Basically, you can't go stricter than what the state's policy is. If you have a local ordinance and your local law enforcement can issue tickets, if you don't have a local, like youth access tobacco ordinance, if the city of Clinton doesn't have one that meets the state's standard or the state's policy, the local police enforcement can't necessarily issue a citation for that. If you say the state ticket's $10, if the city of Clinton wanted to have it to $50 by having restoring local rights, you would have the authority to increase the price of the ticket or however you wanted to do it. This would also, the clean indoor air portion of it, would also allow you to make all businesses smoke-free or tobacco-free if you so chose to. It's not a requirement, but if you look at the map in your packet, if you notice, Oklahoma and Tennessee are the only states that do not have any triangles or color coding or anything on that, and that's because they're the only 2 states that preemption is still part of. The triangles indicate that the cities have tobacco-free ordinances, meaning that all bars, freestanding restaurants, everything are tobacco-free. Green circles are counties. The blue states in blue are 100% smoke-free, non-hospitality workplace, restaurant, and bar laws. Basically, with preemption, Oklahoma stands are gone. They can't really do anything to better serve the public on the local level.
Okay, local rights are usually a good idea. All right, thanks. Action item E, consider request of Red Knights International Motorcycle Club regarding special event on September 6th through 8th. Yes, sir. Mr. Jones.
I'm Steve Jones, with President of Chapter 3 and also the State Association of Red Knights. And what I'm asking is the use of Dance Rotary Park like we did last year, those 3 days. Leading up to that, 2 days before that, we'll be setting things up as such. At the same time, I'd like to, the electrical facilities I put in there last year, I took half of them out because there was some people that did not want those in there. I would like to go ahead and put those back along with 2 more. So there'd be 14 electrical outlets there. And I talked to Toby about that. He just wants a guard structure around each one of those, which I can do. I just need somebody to say, yeah, it's okay. And it's not costing the city anything. And once those electrical facilities are put in there, whoever wants to use them can turn the meter on their name to use them. But I would like the use of the Dance Rotary Park for those 3 days. For the Red Knights. We're going to have our state meeting again here this year, the state association meeting at the same time. Last year we had 500 people sign the insurance forms, and we ran out of insurance forms getting in, so I know we had more than 500. We're looking at probably 1,200, 1,500 people this year, because we've got more advertising out there. And there's a bunch of people staying in our motels here.
It was a successful event.
It was very successful. We had one incident, it was a minor incident, it was local people. And our security people took care of that, nipped it in the bud, and everything was good.
How do you market it so well to get people to come?
Cyberfish, a bunch of internet sites. I go to different rallies and bike events. In fact, I went to one last weekend up in Tulsa, the Confederation of Clubs. Confederation of Clubs is all the Pashover motorcycle clubs, rider clubs, motor center clubs, ministerial clubs, military clubs that ride motorcycles. There's 92 of them that are actually members of the Confederation throughout the whole state of Oklahoma. And once I get that information out to them, it spreads. It's a network. And besides that, the 500 people that showed up here, they went and told everybody what a good time they had. And everybody had a good time. You talk to anybody that was down there except for the one woman that we escorted off the property, everybody had a good time. Her husband was glad she left. And it had nothing to do with our deal, but she responded to it, and we took care of it, sent her on her own way. But we had vendors that would come in. At 3 bands last year, we've got 5 already signed for this year. We're going to do bands on Friday and Saturday night. He said just Saturday.
That seems like a good time.
Oh, it's a good time.
Council, I'll just state that we didn't have any issues down there. They cleaned up the facility and did a nice job, so our staff didn't have to worry about any of that.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak to that, please.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a motorcycle rider, but I'm a board member of the Multi-County Youth Services here in Clinton. We were greatly appreciate the organization that they did. They raised money for our local Multi-County Youth Services and donated that to us to serve right here in our area, and it was a real blessing for us, so we appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
I can speak to that. Every bit of money that we made, we pay off our performers, and we kept $100 for the operational stuff in case it come up, but everything else went to Multi County, and it's bought enough food for their emergency youth shelter for 6 months.
That's very simple.
So, and that's what we're going to do this year again too. I mean, that's our charity, and we'll always donate to Multi County Youth Services.
I'll make a motion, we approve the request of the Red Knights International Motorcycle Club for the use of the facility for this special event on September 6th through the 8th, 2013.
Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes.
Appreciate it, Council, and I appreciate Steve's help with this too. We borrowed a Packard, a Packard rodeo runs. We have a rodeo, motorcycle rodeo in there at the same event, and he was gracious enough to let us use the city Packard to pack that. And the only thing we've seen that we had deficiency on is we need a few more trash cans. We're gonna need them this year. We're gonna need a lot more. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck. Action item F, consider appointment to Midwestern Oklahoma Industrial Foundation. Steve, you want to-
Yeah, Council, Curtis Constantine, myself, are both up in our terms. Phyllis, as you know, left. I think the mayor mentioned he might be willing to serve on that, so if you're looking for somebody. So
I would.
Myself and Curtis are both willing to serve on there again if you'd like.
So I'd make the motion that the mayor and Curtis and Steve be appointed to the second motor or motor board.
If you'd also, I think, designate maybe the mayor be on the motor board as well, as Phyllis was.
Yeah.
The mayor on the motor board, and you three, you and Curtis be reappointed, and Seth be appointed.
All right. Thank you.
Second.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilman Hewland?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Okay. I don't know what I just got into. Action item G, consider ordinance number 942 regarding collection of court costs. Steve, you want to tell us?
Yeah, council, this is really easy. Basically, when the state makes some changes regarding fees and fines and costs, we'd like to just allow our staff to move forward so the judge can, on entry, basically pass those along, and our court clerk can make the changes, and that's what this ordinance would do. That way we don't have to come back to you every time there's a possible change at the state level. We can just internally do a staff, make the change.
Sounds good. Yes.
I make a motion, we approve ordinance number 942.
Councilman Huglen,
Yes.
Councilman Marcy.
Yes.
Councilman Rodoff.
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Action item H, discuss and consider appointment to Ward 4. Comments from any of the councilmen?
You want to mention that?
Oh, yes, okay, so we have, two applicants, and they're both sitting in the back. Right now we have Bert Colby, and we have Lucas Martinez, and we had a third applicant who was actually recommended by the outgoing councilwoman Phil Smith, Mustafa Salih. But Mustafa called me this afternoon, and he withdrew his name, and I believe he called you as well, Steve, is that correct? The way Mustafa related to me was that he looked at the other two applicants who qualified, and he said that he wants to get a little more involved before he applies for such a position. And I think he's going to seek to do that in other areas of city clerk business. Okay. Discussion from me and the council.
Well, I would make the recommendation that we have two,
Yes,
now
sir.
two excellent candidates. I would like to recommend that you and Councilman Hewlin sit down and meet with these two candidates and get their input and get back to the council. There's you and Jason.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And you'll come back with a recommendation, is that?
Yes. Okay. And I don't really see why. I guess we'll just get with you all as soon as we possibly can, Jason and I. Okay, so I guess consider a motion that
We don't even
Oh,
need.
you don't even need one.
No.
Okay, sounds good. Action item I. Consider right-of-way, public utility, and encroachment agreement with ODOT regarding Chapman Road. Steve?
Council, you have an agreement in front of you from ODOT. We finally have the final approved plans in, and we need to have this agreement approved. You can see also how our funding basically breaks down. Once we have this agreement approved and signed, we'll get it off. And also, what goes along with that is a resolution right after this agreement that needs to be passed as well. We'll get that to ODOT. We will then have the authority to negotiate, because I have the right-of-way information for temporary easement as well as permanent easement to begin negotiating with landowners. And basically, this agreement, as well as this resolution, would actually pretty much tell staff that we'll move forward and bring that back to you. And once that's wrapped up, then we'll get back to ODOT, and then hopefully we have no issues, and we'll be able to let this project go to bid, and we're hoping for this summer sometime. So that's the two items really in front of you, and as you can see, it's a great project. It's taken some time to put together, but we're finally moving forward.
Do we do the negotiating on the right of way?
Yes, and we'll fund it, and that'll come out of our budget, in this particular project budget that we've set aside.
Okay, well then, in other words, we can go ahead and approve this now, but we probably have to have the right of way before. Does the state bid the project?
No, we're gonna bid it, and we have to have the right of way and easements in place prior to going to bid for ODOT will let us. So that's basically what you're agreeing to the conditions here that allow staff to go work with the local landowners and then bring back that to you so that you can approve that, because obviously it's our money. And then, but ODOT has approved the boundaries of what that easement would be. And it's just a slight easement on both sides, some temporary for construction purposes, others permanent because we're actually straightening the road. But we have to have that before we move forward. Yeah, we've been moving on, but we're waiting. A lot of issues, but we're finally at a point now we can move.
And we're going to bid it, and ODOT's not going to bid it?
No, they told me, Mark Scott has told me, the city of Clinton will bid it. And they will then review the bids and authorize us to then approve the best bid, lowest price, best bid. That's what was informed by me by Mark Scott in Oklahoma City.
I bet we approve this right away.
I second it.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Huglen?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. So now we're going to move on to action item J. Do we need a, Steve, can you tell us what's the difference between this and action item, previous action?
Well, that was an agreement, this is the actual, they want a resolution from the council regarding this right-of-way public utility encroachment agreement.
So we have a motion for resolution?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Resolution 810.
Okay. Consider a motion for resolution 810.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution number 810.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Huglen?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Moving right along. Action item K, consider and discuss the employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, resignation, or designation of duties of the city manager, including an executive session authorized by Title 25 Oklahoma statutes, Section 307B1. So now consider a motion, in what, we need to have our city attorney Ryan and Steve.
Yeah, I have to be in there, you have to ask for Steve.
Okay, so now, consider a motion for an executive session regarding this action item and also for, Steve to come with us.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn to executive session and include the city attorney and the city manager.
Second.
Councilman Huglen?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, we're back. Now consider a motion to go back into session.
I make a motion, we reconvene into session with Clinton City Council.
Second.
Councilman Huglen?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilman Rodoff? And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, announcement is there's no action to be taken tonight from the executive session discussion. Now entertain a motion. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Yes, sir.
Anybody in the audience?
Oh, okay, yeah. Anybody in the audience have any comments about what we just discussed in the executive session? The topic is. Okay, audience discussion about anything in general. Now's your time. Okay, hearing nothing?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Councilman Rodoff?
Yes.
Councilman Marcy?
Yes.
Councilman Huglen?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes.